Edward Thomas Tom Hardy was born in Hammersmith, London, on September 15, 1977, and raised in East Sheen, a suburban slice of southwest London. His mother, Anne Née Barrett, is an artist and painter. His father, Edward Chips Hardy, is a novelist and comedy writer. The only child of creative parents, Hardy grew up in a house where words, drawings, and characters were part of the atmosphere, and that imaginative oxygen would become the raw material of his career. He attended Tower House School and Reed School before sixth form at Duff Miller, then went on to study acting at Richmond Drama School and the Drama Centre London, now part of Central St. Martin's. Later, he would openly cite Gary Oldman as a formative hero whose scenes he'd mirror during training. Before the stage and screen came calling in earnest, Hardy had the odd, very 1990s detour. In 1998, he won the Big Breakfast's Find Me a Supermodel contest on UK television, landing a brief contract with Models 1, a glimpse of show business from a very different angle. There's even archival footage of the moment. His first breaks arrived fast. In 2001, he appeared as Private John Janovic in HBO's Band of Brothers, then made his feature debut the same year in Ridley Scott's Black Hawk Down. A year later he played Shinzen, the genetically engineered mirror of Jean-Luc Picard, in Star Trek Nemesis, a role that, in hindsight, looks like an early declaration of his appetite for extreme transformation. These early steps established a pattern. Hardy sought out parts that required him to build a voice, a posture, a physiology from scratch. The late 2000s were his ignition years. Nicholas Winding Refn Bronson, 2008/2009, required him to embody the volatile British prisoner Charles Bronson. Hardy packed on muscle and crafted a performance that was simultaneously theatrical and frighteningly intimate. From there, roles multiplied and diversified. Guy Ritchie's Rock'n'Rolla, 2008, The Bruised Pathos of Warrior, 2011, The Studied Ambiguity of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, 2011, and the operatic menace of Bane in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises, 2012. He delivered a one-man masterclass behind a steering wheel in Locke, 2013/2014, then roared through George Miller's Desert in Mad Max Fury Road, 2015. That same year he sparred with nature and Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant, earning an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor. Television wasn't a side road, it was a second highway. Hardy's Alfie Solomons, voluble, hilarious, and lethal, became one of the defining presences of Peaky Blinders. He also co-created and starred in the BBC/FX period drama Taboo, 2017, a murky, propulsive series devised with his father Chips Hardy and frequent collaborator Stephen Knight. Taboo premiered in January 2017 to strong interest and was renewed, with ongoing development discussed over the years. The project remains closely associated with Hardy's creative identity as a maker as well as a performer. Hardy's public image, coiled intensity, sly humor, a voice box that can reinvent itself at will, sits alongside a personal story he's never shied away from sharing. A difficult, ultimately life-defining confrontation with addiction. He has spoken of severe struggles with alcohol and drugs in his 20s, culminating in treatment and sobriety in 2003. That decision, he said, drew a hard line between an earlier self-destructive period and the focused, durable career that followed. The testimony appears across mainstream outlets and interviews, including Time's coverage around Mad Max Fury Road, which notes his 2003 sobriety and the stark warnings that pushed him to change course. In 2018, the United Kingdom recognized Hardy's artistic contributions with a CB, Commander of the Order of the British Empire. He received the honor at Buckingham Palace from, then, Prince Charles. an emblem of establishment recognition for a performer who often gravitates toward the outsider and the dangerous in his roles. The 2010s also showed Hardy's range with audiences far beyond art house and prestige drama. In Sony's Spider-Man universe, he reinvented the anti-hero Eddie Brock/Venom as a rubber-limbed, palooka poet oddball, first in Venom 2018, and then in Venom, Let There Be Carnage 2021. He returned again for Venom, The Last Dance 2024, underlining his place in contemporary comic book cinema while continuing more contained, character-driven work elsewhere. Outside the set, Hardy is famously devoted to dogs and to reading children's stories. Literally. His multiple appearances on BB's Bedtime Stories became a minor phenomenon, especially during the early pandemic period when he returned for a week of readings in May 2020. The juxtaposition, Hollywood tough guy whispering about dragons and crabs, captured the public imagination. In his personal life, Hardy married actress Charlotte Riley in 2014. The couple has 2 children together, and Hardy has an older son, Louis, from a previous relationship. The pair keeps family life private, a boundary he's consistently maintained even as his public profile has climbed. Mainstream outlets summarizing their timeline generally note a 2015 birth and a second child in 2018/2019. A striking late career subplot, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. In 2022, Hardy quietly entered and won multiple BJJ tournaments in the UK, including the REORG Open and the Milton Keynes Open, competing as a blue belt in Masters divisions. He posed for photos with opponents and fans, and press accounts focused on how seriously he approached the sport. It seemed consistent with the ethic visible in his acting, total commitment to the mechanics of a role, or, in this case, a choke. Hardy's resume across stage and screen reads like an index of modern genre: war, Band of Brothers, Dunkirk, crime, legend, lawless, espionage, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, superhero adjacent, The Dark Knight Rises, Venom, prestige survival epic, The Revenant, and visionary action. Mad Max, Fury Road. The through line is a ferocious curiosity about how a person moves through the world. Whether he's adding a peculiar lilt to a line or a millimeter of extra weight to a walk, Hardy builds from the concrete outward. That's why his characters often feel carved rather than written. Less performances than sculptures you walk around.